It is the most popular book, the most popular verse in the book of Philippians. Some of you memorized it when you were in children's departments. It was read a moment ago, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And it's true. Christ makes us strong. We love this verse because in difficult times, it reminds us that Christ makes us strong. So when we're struggling, we can say it over and over to ourselves. It almost becomes a magical mantra. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. No matter how hard life gets, it becomes our mantra. Christ makes us strong. As an enthusiastic high school Christian, I had a Blue Horse 3-ring binder. Do you all remember those? They were kind of blue, cottony, clothy 3-ring binders. I had a sticker on the front of my binder, and it said Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I employed the magic of that verse in meaningful ways all throughout my high school career. I used it when I had not studied for a 10th grade Algebra 2 test. Miss Duncan handed it out, and I thought to myself, no problem. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Mr. Cheney's 11th grade chemistry exam, I never understood chemistry, but I wasn't worried about it because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I'll let you guess how that turned out. Sometimes my faith in the power of that verse worked. More often than not, well, if I didn't study, I failed. If I didn't get ready, I couldn't complete it. 2 summers ago, I was in Napa Valley, California. I was standing on the bank of the Russian River there with about 1,000 other people getting ready to compete in the Ironman. We were standing on the bank of this river. We were about to swim 2.4 miles, and then we were going to get out of the water and bicycle 112 miles, and then we were going to get off our bikes and run a marathon 26.2 miles. And standing next, of course, the place is very, very quiet. Nobody's chit-chatting with each other. There's an ominous task before us. We're standing there on the banks of this river, and I look over, and a guy is standing beside me in a sleeveless wetsuit, and on his arm in permanent marker it says, Philippians 4:13. And I just leaned over and said, I hope you trained. He said, what? I said, it didn't work in algebra. He said, what? I said, I'm just talking to myself, never mind. Don't hear me wrong, it is true. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Christ really does make us strong. J.P. Gibson, a cute little 5-year-old boy who's been diagnosed with leukemia, got to play in a scrimmage game with the Utah Jazz last week. I don't know if you saw the news clip on this, but they finally passed him the ball. This little short 5-year-old is dribbling across this professional basketball court with 7-foot-tall basketball players around him. He got under the goal, and one of the Utah Jazz players grabbed him by the waist, lifted him up, and he slam dunked the basketball into the goal. They laid him down, and he started strutting off back across the court, headed the other way to get on defense. And we all know that when he got home, we know what he said. I slam dunked the basketball today against a bunch of professional basketball players. I scored. As I look back over my life and I ponder some of the challenges I've faced, or some of the struggles that I have endured, or the situations that have made me feel helpless or hopeless or a little short, and I realize that somehow I survived these things and moved through them, I begin to wonder to myself, how much of the weight was I actually carrying? How much was I actually doing? I thought I was carrying the burden, but there's no way for me to know. No way for me to know how much of the burden Christ was actually carrying, Christ was actually pulling and pushing, how much heavier and how much unbearable those moments would have been if Christ hadn't been quietly, secretly, powerfully lifting me up, picking me up, carrying me, making sure the struggle was surmounted. It is true, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Christ makes us strong. Paul knows this, so he writes, Christ makes us strong. but. And there always seems to be a but. But. I have to agree with St. Ignatius of Loyola, who wrote concerning his own struggles these words: "Oftentimes in desolation, we experience neither the support or the sweetness of divine love." Oftentimes in my desolation, I experience neither the support or the sweetness of divine love. I don't always sense the power of Christ. Even when it's with me, I don't feel it. Sometimes I need something more tangible. And that's when it's important for me to remember that not only does Christ make me strong, but being with you makes me strong. I've called it the forgotten verse. Everyone knows Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. We memorized it when we were little. Nobody memorizes Philippians 4:14, the next verse. We all know 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, but nobody memorizes 4:14. Don't look it up. Stop. Don't get your phone out and start Googling Philippians 4:14. Here's what it says. 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. 4:14, but in any case, it was kind of you to share in my distress. Oh, that changes the whole thing. Oh, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, but in any case, it was kind of you to share in my distress. Being with you makes me strong. Being together makes us strong. Being in the presence of other caring and loving, tangible human beings who know what we are going through makes us strong. Not even Jesus lived and worked and ministered alone. He chose 12 disciples who became his closest friends. He depended on Mary and Martha and Lazarus, his surrogate family in Bethany. And Paul, while Paul believes I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, if you follow his story in the book of Acts, Paul never walks and works alone. He is always with Silas and Barnabas and Timothy and Epaphroditus and Phoebe and Lydia and Priscilla and Aquila and on and on. And so here Paul even says, I'm still connected to you, the Philippian community, because yes, I believe Christ strengthens me, but in any case, it is kind of you to share in my distress. What does St. Ignatius say? Oftentimes in desolation, I experience neither the support or the sweetness of divine love. I don't feel it. And so it's in those moments we need each other. Because being with you, tangible human being, faith, family members, makes me strong. So at the start of the Ironman, he had Philippians 4:13 on his arm. I had that verse in my heart, and I had trained. I was ready for my Ironman experience. I knew I was strong. But I was also sick that day, had been sick all week long with the flu. But the swim went fine, and 112 miles on the bicycle went fine. And I thought when I got off the bicycle I would be fine because I'm a runner and that's what I do. And 3 miles into 26 miles, I just lost everything I had. There was 8 miles left in the whole race. I said to a friend of mine who was there watching and spectating, I'm through, I quit. They looked at me and said, wait a minute. There's 8 miles of a 140-mile race left, and you're going to quit. That's right, I'm quitting. No, you're not. I will walk with you the last 8 miles. The sun had already gone down. It was dark. I was dehydrated and tired and sick, and at the time didn't even care if I finished or not. This friend came alongside and walked with me for 8 miles. Team in training came alongside and started handing me water bottles. My knees were hurting. My back was hurting. I came into the finish area in the dark of night, and there was another team in training individual standing there who put a medal around my neck and handed me a T-shirt and hugged me and said, "You are an Iron Man." But I didn't get there alone. And I didn't get there with a verse on my heart or a verse written on my arm. Oh, I had the verse and I had the training. But when your body breaks down and you go weak and darkness falls and finishing the race doesn't even matter anymore, you need a community around you. Philippians 4:13 is true. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, but don't forget 4:14. In any case, it is always kind for you to share in the distress of those around you. We need each other. I mean, after all, who has walked with you during the most difficult days of your life? Who have you walked beside and patiently waited on and given all the time and grace they need to finish their race? You know, the beauty of being part of the church is that when you unite your life with the church, you get both these things. Philippians 4:13, the Christ who strengthens you, and Philippians 4:14, a community who loves and supports you. And that's why as we end every sermon, we sing a song. And we invite people to unite with our church, to say to them that the Christ who strengthens you welcomes you, and this church family will love, support you unconditionally.